Let's go back to the API catalog and show another thing that is possible with a very quick change to how things work. I have here also other API types, for example, the Streetlights Async API. So if I go into documentation, this documentation has been generated with this command. So Async API has tooling that can generate Markdown output. And with a little tweak, our portal is ready to accept the Markdown input in an API reference documentation content type. So the output is exactly what an async API developer expects. They've seen this a bunch of times. So you get all the items that come from the Markdown. You have the servers, you have variables, things are interlinked exactly like they should be. You've got operations. Here the operation, that's probably something that we would like to update when we went into production with this and actually put for the method a little tab behind it and make it a little smaller to make it look nicer. But by and large, this looks exactly like a async API developer is used to. Let's jump into the backend and have a quick look at what this looks like in practice. In the API catalog, as an administrator, I go to the Streetlights API. I have now my control buttons. I'll jump into edit mode. And what I did here is that I did not upload an API reference file like it defaults to, but I actually filled in the values manually. So I gave it a title, a description, which is the part that goes into the card that you see on the catalog. I gave it the version number that I know from the Async API tooling. I have the header that we've seen before. I have categories as before, and then I use this manual description field down here, which I'll enlarge a little bit. And you see that this field is set as GitHub flavored Markdown, and I simply took the Markdown from the Async API tooling and dropped it in here. This field is not standard in our out-of-the-box product, but it's very easy to add. And with that, you're ready for anything that comes in Markdown format, and it will drop into the portal, and it has all the other affordances that we have otherwise. So in practice, you can put an API description page here to tell more about the business case of the API. You can attach a tutorial like I have here with some textual description, with some code, how you actually do things with this async API and so on. For code, I just dropped in the async API definition file actually, just to make the case that you can put a tutorial together and you can associate this like we've seen before with the core documentation, the reference documentation itself. So that's how we are able to document pretty much any API type that provides Markdown output in its tooling for documentation purposes. The same is true for gRPC, where you also get Markdown output from the Proto-C compiler, provided you have the correct plugin. For other API types, of which I have none in my demo instance, GraphQL is fully custom at the moment, because what we do generally is that we embed the GraphQL library, the playground library, so that somebody can explore the self-documenting GraphQL API. But I don't have it in my instance here. And then SOAP APIs are also fully custom. Our customers have had all sorts of ideas how they want to document SOAP APIs. So that hasn't really settled into a pattern that we're ready to show as best practice yet. So in a bigger term, though, we can accommodate more than just REST APIs and fully document them in a standard way. The catalog itself you see here is extensible. The more APIs you add, the more will be in the catalog, and you get, it just keeps on growing until until you stop adding content.